Episode 3 and episode 4 was sort of surprising because I was sort of scared it would sort of be more softer when more episode pop out. But no, they stick their guns. These two episodes were amazing. That's sort of how to describe it, kind of like uh, grim fairy tales, that there is a story, but it is sort of grim, but also very funny and kind of adventurous. But it reminds you, yeah, these gremlins are dangerous. I mean, there's one scene when the gremlins rip up a person's finger and plays with it. And they play with it like were cigars or something, and later on keep showing that finger and eats it. Once more, for the same character ripped their finger out just to piss them off. And that's sort of disturbing because I have never seen that in any other anime series. Yeah, I'm not talking about family animation or anime or adult animation. None of them three different branches never actually do that. That's how grim this show is, but almost like a fairy tale sort of line. I mean, grim has always been that sort of fairy tale that has grim elements, but it's part of the storytelling to develop the characters. Even that, they actually add lore even more to Gremlins. Like, usually the three rules of Gremlins: never feed them after midnight, never shower them, and third, never show it to the sun. The fourth rule actually add more things to the character that was sort of surprising because it actually makes sense. The fourth rule is basically they have immortality. This is the reason why a lot of people want the Gremlins, because they actually can eat them and get their eternal youth, but at the same time, there actually are more rules for that reason. That if you eat them, you have to eat them a very specific way. If you eat them the wrong way, you will not get the immortality. Or eat the second generation, you would still get sick because it's not the right way to eat them. And that so much makes sense of Mr. Green really wants gremlins, because it sort of makes so much sense why everyone wants one, because you know they're dangerous, but you don't know what is sort of the benefactor, what is the necessity to grab a gremlin. It just sort of makes sense. Now, episode 3 actually adds so much more. Like, episode 3 is basically showing you the difference of the two main lead characters, Sam and Elle. Like, Sam is a good boy. He's a very knowledgeable boy, but he's just too pure for the world. It's someone you need to protect, because now he has to sort of this mission to drop Gizmo to his homeland, but he's so, and it said he doesn't know he needs to survive, do sort of questionable things. In episode 3, points that out so loudly that Elle have to figure it out to keep companion with this kid or drop him off, because Elle sort of portrays him because obvious reason Sam is not ready for this. He probably never will, because how educated, proper, and kind he is. People like that will be easily destroyed in the streets, and elves know this. I mean, that's sort of surprising. He portrayed him to protect them while telling him, yeah, this is the bad idea. But at the same time, you don't really hate Elle. She just knows, because episode 4 it reveals that she had a rough life, how her parents used her to steal and abandon her, and also realize Sam's parents died, and you just like, oh, that's explains so much why she's sort of very intense. And that's just sort of interesting how these two episodes add these two characters sort of motivation, reason why they need to keep working together, because they also show why maybe Elle needs Sam, because Sam is, you can say, useless in the streets, but the kid is very knowledgeable about magic and chemicals. In episode 4, it shows you how Sam is so useful to certain scenarios that Elle can never really get out of, because she's not chemical smart. So that's what I love about this. They ask both characters why they need each other, why they need to work together, and why they have to need friends, because Elle does need a good friend, and Sam also need a friend who are actually good from the streets, and vice versa. Elle needs Sam because he is very knowledgeable about chemicals. You see this sort of a friendship working so well because they sort of understand each other after episode 4. You've seen that episode, actually what happens. But of course, I do love episode 3. Episode 3 shows what kind of creatures you're gonna meet up each single episode because you're not really much sure what the direction of the show could be. You think Mr. Green will just send Gremlin after Gremlin or henchman? No, no, no. Sam and Elle, they're worried about all the things besides Mr. Green and the Gremlins because the first kind of antagonist they had to face is a shapeshifter who wants a Gizmo because, so I said at the very beginning, Gizmo's fourth rule that if you eat a gremlin, you can have immortality. And this shapeshifter wants immortality. But I also love how likable this shapeshifter is. He's also how dangerous he really is because you don't know which direction he will come from. You don't know who this person will be the next time you see him. And that's what makes him sort of kind of dangerous and interesting. Especially his design was sort of kind of like a Chinese sort of stage performer. If you've never seen any Chinese film sort of showing their acting, but specifically like the good old like good like 80s or 70s sort of stage performing makeup and sort of design, if you know that, you'll be a treat how this creature is that. He is sort of inspiration of that sort of kind of stage performance. Yeah, I like that. I was sort of surprised they used that as sort of a shapeshifter reason how he looks like that. On top of this, his abilities was basically from the gods. Well, he sort of stole it from the gods. He sort of elixir to help him to change, but he also realized he's aging, so that's why he wants Gizmo. But it's this one-off villain is actually pretty interesting. Hopefully, this shapeshifter comes back. He's just sort of likable, interesting, and wondering what else this character could do in the near future if we see him again of this season. But besides that, it was a really good villain. Especially we also love this episode. Shows you how Sam is just so useless in certain situations because he's not experienced, and Elle really is. And that's the point she realized she had to cut him off. What's more, she did the right thing, is in my opinion, because it's sort of hard to show someone who actually is just very pure to be a horrible person, because you kind of need to in the streets. You need to steal, you need to lie, you need to think on your feet, and Sam is not that. But I love that is episode 4. Sam actually proves that he is useful, but in different ways. Like, everybody has their own purpose, and this episode 4 really shows it, sort of by accident in a way. But I love it. It's sort of set up on the next villain that will be a human, and that's sort of surprised because I wasn't sure what they were doing next. What would be the next villain? Is the next villain is a housekeeper who, not a housekeeper, an innkeeper who has a hotel, who controls people because they take their memories, giving tea. And how she does it is sort of interesting because if you drink the tea, the memories you have of your past will be taken away, but be sort of free of any misery. But at the same time, the reason why she does this is because the innkeeper is lonely and has no one to live in her hotel. But it has sort of kind of sadness to her that is make her very interesting villain. And I think this is sort of a pattern of this anime series to make sort of each villain sort of a little sympathetic, a little bit some they don't, some they do, but they make them interesting enough and dangerous enough to see how Sam and Elle need to figure it out. It also shows how Sam is very useful for kind of magic people. Besides his book with the Grandpa left him, his chemical eye understanding helps him to take out magic people. But a little bit they actually point out magic defeat magic. Maybe. If you see that sort of phrasing, that's from Jackie Chan, the character of Uncle. That sort of phrasing here, but not all the time. They put that as a but. Like, magic does defeat magic, but sometimes not. You have to sort of think outside of the box. But I really enjoyed this episode 4 because it do focus on Elle. Like, why she's like that, the reason, the why she act this way, why she doesn't trust Sam, why she doesn't trust anyone because of her parents, how she missed Mr. Green. And you can see Sam empathize and understand when how Sam and Elle sort of save themselves in this sort of housekeeper spell, and you see that sort of bondage. They understand each other, the same time sort of banter they have with each other. Like, you just get it. Like, yeah, we can work this out. We can be partners to finish this mission while giving that sort of deepness, about that sort of conversation. You just understand because you know what their motivations are. And that's just sort of interesting and fun to see, because this series sort of surprised me, especially the Gremlins, because I thought this series could be soft of the evil Gremlins, because when you see the trailer, you're just not sure I like this version of Gremlins, but I was wrong. This evil Gremlins are completely unhinged like everybody else. But I love it, even Sam's parents are trying to figure out how to get out of the situation, trying to help, not help, haggle to Mr. Green, trying to get to his good side, to get closer to the enemies, but at the same time get closer to getting out. And that's sort of their plan, especially the other gremlins, the evil ones, are figuring out how to get out, because these evil gremlins are pretty chaotic, but also sort of intelligent. But once again, that was the original movies. The gremlins are very dangerous, very smart, and very clever. Just not let them alone. You always have someone watching them. But Mr. Green, being just so cocky and evil, he doesn't really care because he's just too smart. But I love it, Mr. Green has very funny situationals, like, yes, henchman number one, don't tell me your name. I don't need to know. I do not need to understand you. But I love it, that sort of kind of clever sort of joke writing now, where it's like, I do not need your name or your backstory. Just do what you're supposed to do. But that sort of cleverness, how he said it, not once but twice. But it's sort of funny how they wrote it in a way. I can't do justice how he said it, but you get the idea why this works so well. Like, they know they had to be grim and funny, and they pull it off. It's just that good. Now, of course, for right now, that's the only 2 episodes. If this video, people do like it, people like, I do the next episodes. For right now, I'm just gonna wait to see what happens. If you do like it, people like to see if I do the other one. But depends how this video does. Now, I got nothing else to say. Just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.